This is the Mickey Miles and More podcast, your one-stop for information on Disney races, Disney vacations, Disney theme parks, and more. Now, here are your hosts for the Mickey Miles and More podcast, Michelle Scribner-McLean, Chris Eliopoulos, and Mike Scopa.
Welcome home, Milers, and welcome back to another episode of Mickey Miles and More, a podcast where three friends talk about the Disney parks, the Disney races, and whatever else comes up. I'm Chris Eliopoulos, and with me, as always, is Dr. Michelle Scribner-McLean. Michelle, happy spring.
Happy spring, Chris, and I want to thank you again / be angry with you for introducing me to Gooder sunglasses. Did you see what they're offering today?
Oh,
they have
no.
a limited supply of Sesame Street Gooder sunglasses.
Didn't see that. Oh,
yes,
spending more money after the show.
I know. I love those sunglasses. I can't have enough of them. I bought Mike some too. But before you introduce our other lovely co-hosts, I wanted to give a shout out to, again, on Monday, I'll be volunteering for the Boston Marathon. So all the Boston Marathon runners and volunteers, and especially the Boston Marathon dog. Did you know there's a Boston Marathon dog?
No.
His name is Spencer, and he is located at the Park Plaza Hotel. He's got a little dog house there, and the runners can come up and say hello to him. So I'll be right near Spencer. So, yeah.
All right, I'll be looking for the dogs.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So also with us is the Dean of Disney, Mr. Mike Scopa. Mike.
Hello, everybody, and happy Easter or whatever. I know this is a non-denominational show, but I'd say that I also want to commend Michelle on the volunteer effort she's going to put forth for the Boston Marathon. It pales in comparison to the volunteer work that people would do down in Walt Disney World or Disneyland for the races. It's a long day for Michelle, and I think she deserves a lot of credit for it. So thank you, Michelle.
Oh, me and about 50,000 other volunteers.
All the volunteers.
There are a lot of our former.
I appreciated it when I ran. It is a long day.
And they will
be leaving Nashua at 6:15 a.m.
There will be some Mickey Milers and some Team All Ears people there. So thank you, everybody,
and good luck to the runners.
Have a good day. I hope the weather is good.
Yeah.
So today's show, it's going to be in three parts. So we're going to do three shows on this subject. And earlier this week, Michelle had a wonderful idea, because all we've been doing is complaining about the Disney parks and what's going on lately. Especially with Bob Chapek. Darn it, I just now gave myself some work to do in sound editing. So, Michelle, why don't you tell me what started and what made you go down this road to what we're going to talk about today?
Sure, Bob Chapek. So it started off with browsing around Facebook. I came upon, thank you, Alexa. I came upon a Facebook post from somebody who it just could have been one of us who mentioned how upset they were with their, it was a Disney running experience that they were talking about, how much money they spent. And I started to think about the three of us complaining and being upset. And I thought, what if we sort of, a lot of times with my students, I'll do case studies, pretend this is happening. What would you do? What if we took this whole situation and made it sort of like a pretend case study? So here's the situation. You ready, you guys? So Disney has been reading all these social media prompts, getting letters, comments from people, and they have decided now it's time to roll up their sleeves and do something. So they have approached the three of us as experts in ways to make the magic at Walt Disney World, because we have experienced the magic many times at Walt Disney World. So they have appointed us with their magic fairy godmother wands. We're the magic squad. And so our job is to look at the way that Disney parks are run holistically, and then maybe we can dig down from park to park to park to see what are the little things that we could change to make it magical, and why would we make those changes. So we're trying not to complain so much as to say we're big bucks consultants here. We want to do all the work to make it the way that it was, so we can enjoy it in our families and everybody else can.
First, how much are we getting paid for this job? As consultants, usually I get paid per diem, and I get per day rate. So.
Well, this is that, I actually was thinking about this today.
It is Disney, so we're probably going to get $10.
We're going to get a magical lightning lane pass that we can use for 1 year. Yeah.
That's-
For 1 year, I'll let you negotiate.
I'm
1
sorry.
year would work it for me.
I get paid for my work. I don't get freebies. So, Mike, what we're going to do is, I think on this first show is sort of do a mission statement and ideas in general, right?
Yeah, and I think in order to make sure that everybody is on board and on the same page as the three of us, we have to realize that the big challenge here is to come up with thoughts, ideas that represent a win-win situation for not just the resort, but for the guests, and not just for the guests, but the resort as well. So there are going to be some things that seem like sort of a little bit of a more of a win for the resort than the guests, in other words. But I think in the long run, the objective here is to figure out how we can make everybody feel good, like we felt 5, 6, 7, 8, 28 years ago. So I think that's the big challenge here. And so it's going to take a lot of thought and a lot of very specific thinking. So let's go.
When I first went into this, thinking this, I also want to make sure that I think logically for a business. Like, forget about the easy answer is just give away free stuff to everybody and it makes everybody happy. Well, that doesn't hit the bottom line very well for a corporation. They don't want to say, like, just give free stuff away. And, what about that? Obviously we've learned they don't want to give free stuff. They want to take away the free stuff. So in my mind, I've been thinking first, as a corporation, that means not just freebies, but what can we do that would spark the magic but not cost money. And then also, here's the other thing, Mike, right before I give you the ball, is we have to do things that make people feel the magic but don't alienate and upset other guests in that moment. So what do you think, Mike? All right, any thoughts?
I think you're right on the ball with that, Chris. I think the other thing that we always need to keep in mind is that we want Disneyland Paris, we want all the Disney resorts to stay in business. We want them to survive. We want them to make money. But at the same time, we want them to be able to give us what we want at a reasonable cost. So again, there's that fine line and there's that challenge again, that we want them to operate, like you said, as a business, and we have to recognize and respect that. But at the same time, they need to do whatever they can to get customers coming back over and over again.
As a general rule, Michelle, I'm going to say, like, the overarching thing is stop nickel and diming guests. Like, stop trying to, like, find reasons to, make people pay for random things. These events or these things should probably be random and unexpected, right? I mean, sort of like, that's the idea of magic. Like, things just happen magically. Mm-hmm. So maybe, do you have like a first idea of something that you would say generally, what would make people feel the magic when they go back down to Disney?
This is probably going to be unexpected, but this is the first thing that came to my mind. Pay the cast members a living wage. That would be the first thing. I think until you change the foundation of the way that the place is run. So it is going to cost them more money, but I think paying all cast members a living wage will just show so much respect. And I want to be at a company that treats people like that. So that would be my first overarching thing. I think that helps. It may cost some money, but loyalty will happen. And
I was going to say, you're right in that sense. It's going to cost money up front, but it's going to save money in the long run, because you're going to have employees that are going to hang out a long time. And those cast members do such a better job in dealing with guests when they've been there for a long time. They know the ins and outs. They're helpful. They can go beyond just, let me get my supervisor to see what's going on here. And like that quick turnover, one of the joys about the Disney parks is that you've got cast members that are longtime members, and that you get to see trip after trip after trip. And I find that magical to go back and see that person at the bar, the bartender that you've always had, or the waiter or waitress at another place, or the cast member that you happen to catch in security. So yeah, I agree. People
should be able to make their careers there if they want to.
Think long term, not short term. Mm-hmm. Mike?
I think that's a great idea, Michelle. I can think about many instances in which I saw cast members doing something very special And I always think, gee, they probably aren't being paid enough for all they do. But to get to Michelle's point about paying them, if you pay them, they'll feel better about themselves. They'll maybe even do more than they have. I think that when you think about it, companies invest in their employees, and if you invest really well in the cast members and they're happier about what they're doing and they treat the guests even more than they have in the past, not that they don't now, you want to come back because you're being treated special. You're being treated like a very VIP person. And I know that the first and second times I visited a Walt Disney theme park, I was impressed by the cast members. I was impressed by how they cared about everyone. And if the company cares about them, that will translate into more business. And the argument that can be made against it is that, well, Disney doesn't need that because people are swarming anyways. But you've got to have happy employees. You really do. That's a great idea, Michelle.
Mike, do you have any other? Give me one of your list now.
So, I think that going back to what you said, Michelle, Chris, I'm tough with names today.
Chris.
It's a business, and you don't want them to go under. You want them to continue to offer the services and the products. Over the years, they've given us a lot of complimentary things. One is Magical Express. They took it away, and I really think that it might have been better if they said, expenses for this program have been running high. The cost of fuel is high. We need to do whatever we can to offer this service for you, going back and forth from the airport for those guests who cannot drive or do not want to drive. So I think that if they had said, we're going to start charging guests for use of the Magical Express, I think it would have been accepted. I think it would have been fine. I think that what they have to do is they have to figure out what their program costs, and they need to cover their costs and maybe make a little profit perhaps, but maybe charging. And I don't know what an Uber, or what you would know better than us, Chris, how much a town car costs to be taken from the airport to your resort.
Yeah.
Is it 50? Is it
so
75?
We usually get an SUV, right? Because we've got the kids, we got luggage. We're usually coming for a couple of weeks. That one
Right.
usually goes somewhere in the neck of the woods, like 170 plus tip. So it's expensive. It's not easy. The town car is like 110, 120. And then obviously the limos are like 200 and something or other. But
I think it's a valuable service, and I would say if Disney came up with something like $25 per person round trip to continue using Magical Express, I really think that many guests would say that's fine. I think Michelle about Masayo, and when we talked with her, and she said there's no Magical Express anymore. So that hurts me, an international guest. There are a lot of international guests who don't want to drive, and I don't want them to drive down there. I think that something along the line of charging for Magical Express a nominal fee, I think it helps the resort, and I think it would help the guests. So that would be my first suggestion. What about you,
Very
Chris?
cool. Yeah, no, a lot of when I thought of this idea, I still go back to the Year of a Million Dreams. I thought they really did it right in terms of that. There's a lot of stuff. So I went back and I found the list of what they offered at that time, and I kind of went through it. A lot of the stuff, it's like, you get a free vacation to Hawaii or something. Like, I think that's way beyond what this should be. But I was thinking of little things. The first one I'm going to tell you about is sort of like getting the guests excited for their trip. I would love to see Disney send out like little tiny gift bags a week before a vacation, providing like sunscreen or a portable charger, maybe a couple little snacks with the Mickeys on it or something like that. Little bit of pixie dust that they can send out to guests to get them excited for their trip. Like, unexpected, here's a little something. We're excited. We can't wait to have you. And then on the flip side, like a month after or something like that, another little package, like maybe just a printout of one of their pictures from their trips, saying, "Hey, we really miss you. We hope we'll see you again soon." Just something that is a little extra that makes the guests miss it and also excited to be coming down to the parks.
Just checked off 2 of mine.
Sorry.
Year of a Million Dreams was absolutely on my list, because that was, honestly, we got several lanyards with pins and things like that. But not just seeing the cast members pop out of behind a bush, but also seeing the joy that they got out of it.
Oh yeah,
I think was really fun. And also, another, to go along the same lines, another thing in my head was when you were getting the magic band sent to you and you got to choose them and they would arrive as part of your vacation package. That was a little like, oh, we can't wait to see you type of moment. So I love that idea.
You mean the ones that you pay for now?
Yeah, the ones that you pay for now.
Yeah.
Should I go to my next one? I'm
Yeah.
going to go back to cast members here again.
Okay.
So I think one of the things that I've noticed, or I hear about from cast member friends, and I have noticed, is that Disney does not do the level of training that they used to do before. It used to be a whole week called Traditions. Is that right, Mike?
2 weeks.
2 weeks called Traditions. And it was really like, what's the philosophy of this company? How do we see cast members? How do we do this? How do we do that? So it's sort of enculturing people to what it means to be a Disney cast member. And I think it's very short now, maybe 1 day. And I think that, again, investing that time in training people would be time well spent. And I think it would enhance everybody's experience. It would make the cast members more prepared, and it would also trickle down the line to the guest experience.
Very true.
Yay? Nay?
Yeah. Look, anything to keep them happy and also passing on that joy and that love of Disney to the guests always makes things special. Mike?
Michelle mentioned magic bands, and that was on my list. I'll just pass over it real quickly because I think you said enough about it. But I really think that the magic bands did a lot to get people excited, especially the children. And it really it hit me that it was too bad that they stopped giving them out complimentary. But I do think that maybe there could be a certain status that would allow you to get complimentary magic bands. If you're staying on the property, or if you're an annual pass holder, maybe you get a free band every year or two. But I would like that to be something that they would consider. I wanted to mention something in general that made a big impression upon me the first 5 years that I visited Walt Disney World. And that was that regardless of what park I was in, the Magic Kingdom, Epcot, Hollywood Studios, well before Animal Kingdom, it was always nice and I would call it an unexpected pleasure to have all of a sudden popping up in front of me some kind of spontaneous entertainment. It would be things like in the Magic Kingdom, the All-American College Band. It was awesome. Dapper Dan's, of course, is still around. In Epcot, it was a lot of stuff around the World Showcase. There were musicians walking around, and I've talked with them many times, and they loved their jobs. There was the living statues. I have a picture of myself in a living statue. If I find it, Chris, I'll send it to you. There was the person in the bubble that year. All kinds of entertainment. Then you've got Hollywood Studios. You've got the Jameters. Let's go back to Epcot. The Jameters. Then you get the Tuba Fours. You've got all kinds of stuff, and you had, of course, what was that called? The performers in Hollywood Studios. I forget what they were called. Citizens of Hollywood. Streetmosphere and Mulch, Sweat, and Tears. Chris, Cheers, whatever, Chris. I really, really missed that. And there are so many talented performers down there that I really, really think it would be a win-win situation for so many people if they brought back the spontaneous entertainment.
God, you're stealing all of our, like me and Michelle just keep wiping like lines off of our list. I will say I agree. I had the Streetmosphere people, but I also had, there was like, they would prompt, like, I remember going to Great Britain a couple of times, and they would break out in some kind of comedy Shakespeare bit.
Oh,
And they would
right,
engage
yeah.
like the
Yes.
guests, and it was so much fun to see because people would just stop. Like, nobody was racing to an attraction; they were enjoying the moment at the park. And I think, as an overarching thing, I think that's what you want. You want your guests enjoying the parks as a whole, not racing from attraction to attraction. And I think those Streetmosphere people are definitely uh, the ones that can make that happen. So, am I up or you up, Michelle?
You're up and then me.
Okay, let's see. I've got a whole bunch of different ones here. Oh, so here's a one. I know they've stopped giving out any new annual passes, but I've always felt like the annual pass holders are the ones that retain the magic the most. They're the ones who are always, even the DVC people, they are the ones who are always preaching the gospel of Disney. Sorry, Michelle, you can have another one, but here's my thing. I say every year, one random AP holder gets a free year at Club 33.
Oh, I love that.
Because
I love that.
let me tell you, somebody gets that, they will preach the gospel of Disney forevermore, right? I mean, you always want to bring the guests back, and we are the biggest cheerleaders. The annual pass holders, the DVC members, those are the people that you want on your team to help share the magic. So that was my next one.
I like it. I love that idea. And I had annual pass, increase the benefits for annual pass holders on my list too. All right, I'm gonna. Mine's not as exciting as that one, but it's along the lines of technology. The first, I'm gonna do a twofer here. The first thing I would do is to remove the reservation system, because I think that took away a lot of the magic. And also, if you have to have some sort of a system where there's a lightning lane because of the crowds, make it something that you can plan ahead of time before you start your vacation, so that people's vacations are not spent on their phones. Again, I'm struck by my physical therapist telling me her husband was booking the next lightning lane as they were literally dropping in the Tower of Terror because they didn't want to miss the window. And they got off and said, this isn't magical. So remove the reservation system. I want to be able to go and meet my friends in Epcot or wherever I want to go. I want to get up and say, today's sort of a Magic Kingdom feeling day, but we don't have to have a reservation. And also let us plan ahead of time for any of the attractions that we want to go. If we want to, as a family of 4, if we want to put the 7 days in front of us and make out a map, and we want to say, these are the things that we want to go to, even if we have to pay for them, let's not have it all the day of, so that we can just enjoy our vacation and say, we're going to Splash Mountain at 12 o'clock. We're going to Space Mountain at 2 o'clock. Fellows, thoughts?
It's funny that you say that, Michelle, because on the heels of your points that you just made, my next discussion is a little bit of a dead horse, but it's going back to the Lightning Lane Genie Plus issue. I remember that when the first time I heard of Fast Pass, I immediately thought, wow, that's great, because people can have much more flexibility with their time. But at the same time, I also realized, I think I talked with Jim Hill about this. I said, think about this. It's a very much of a win-win situation, because Disney doesn't want you wasting an hour standing in line. They want you spending money, buying a $10 bottle of water, buying a Dole Whip, going into a store and buying merchandise. Your credit card is idle. And so I really think this is sort of like what I think the Magic Squad would have a very tough time figuring out. Can they somehow bring back some type of a program whereby we don't have what we have now? You just said, Michelle, people really stressing out on when I can make the next lightning lane. We have long queue lines. I really think that next year at this time, we'll be talking about some kind of a tweak that happens with Disney Genie and Genie Plus. But if I was going to suggest something, I really think that they should tweak it so that we can achieve a balance in the standby lines and the lightning lane lines, making it available for someone to pay maybe an extra $100 per person with their day ticket to give them access to every attraction to the front of the line once. I think that would solve a lot of problems. I think it would be something that a lot of people would welcome because it gives you a little bit of what is missing these days, and that is spontaneity. So
Yeah, totally.
I think Michelle's also idea about getting rid of the park reservation system would be great. I have very little faith that would ever go away though. Chris?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, that's the big thing, right? It's the spontaneity. It's staring at your phones all day. That's the problem. So I tended to think about things that people want or need or maybe would make them feel better. I'm trying to. I have a bunch that happen in all parks, but I want to save it for the parks, not specific parks. But I'm gonna go to dining. I would like to see them again. Everything has to be random, but randomly, maybe they have a random generator about guests or whatever. But a family at dinner, when it's time for the bill to show up, instead of the check, they get basically, you open it up and it says dinner's on Mickey, or Mickey signs it and just says dinner's on me tonight, thanks for coming or something like that. Again, you do that once in a while. It doesn't have to be this big thing where, and it doesn't have to be a big giant parade that walks through the restaurant. It's just like, hey, and those people will tell their friends and they will tell their friends. Like, that's the thing with the Disney Magic, is that you have to get it to the point where people are telling other people. That's what becomes magical. As a company, you want that kind of going out to other people, like, oh my God, these great things keep happening at the parks. You got to go, instead of, oh my God, I spent too much money and all I did was wait on lines, right? So once in a while, like a little freebie, doesn't have to cost a lot. I mean, think about it. A meal is what, a meal for 4 is $120 at a nice restaurant or something like that. I think that's, we'll come back later.
I like that idea, Chris. I would like to just add a little bit more to your idea.
Yeah.
Maybe the bill would be brought, that message would be brought to the table by a character.
I was thinking that too, but my fear was that everybody, like the thing I said earlier, every other person at the restaurant would get pissed. Like, oh, why do they get it?
Say, Mickey, come here.
Yeah.
Mickey.
Yeah. You have to do these things in a way that doesn't, make the other guests feel like it's not magical, right? I mean, that's the only reason I would not have the character. That's actually why I didn't write it. I thought about it, but the fear is that. But all right, Michelle, give us another one.
All right. So the next one is, I remember, Chris, a long time ago when our boys were younger, that we were at the Magic Kingdom with you and your family till like 3 a.m. That was awesome in the summer. The kids thought it was just amazing. I would love to have those really early and really late nights at all the different parks. Again, to have the summer hours where you can stay up late or maybe even all night if you want to.
I was gonna say, do the 24-hour thing again.
Yeah, I thought that was just really, really fun, and I just it was just really the temperature was great. We could sort of walk onto rides or not. The kids were thrilled, and burning out their energy, and I would love to see more of that, especially during the summer months.
Yeah, definitely. Love that one. Mike, as he ponders.
I was very fortunate in that I attended the very first One More Disney Day, and that was a 24-hour access day to the Magic Kingdom. And despite what you say, Michelle, it was tough to get on attractions, even at 3 o'clock in the morning. People just, took that along. I know I'm not supposed to complain, but having said that, I think it would be fine. I think I'd like to try it. It may be something that should be done at every park. So I approve that. I approve that suggestion.
Approved.
I think that this is sort of parks, but it's in general. I think we need to have nighttime parades in every park. I really think it adds to the magic. I love to see the faces of the children as they see parades go by them at night with all the lights and music and splendor and characters. I think it's a very general thing. I think every park should have it. Maybe the exception would be the Animal Kingdom Park, but I really would like to see that. And that probably falls under the heading of bolstering entertainment. But I really think that when when someone talks about going to a Disney destination, they think parades, attractions, they think characters, and they think fireworks. And I think those components need to be there. They need to return.
Definitely. Okay. All right. Why don't we do one last round for each of us? We'll each do one last one for this one. And then next week we'll talk about the parks. And so mine, my last one of the day is I was thinking about the parking lots and how there's the tram system and there hasn't been a tram system for a while in certain cases. I would love to see a couple of those large golf carts zipping around out in the parking lots and going out to the far end and picking up random guests and bringing them right to the front of the park, avoiding the tram system. Just maybe even having, like you said, a character on it with them, like, Goofy's pretending to drive, or you got a driver with them, and they hop on and they bring them to the front of the park, and their magical day starts early, right? I know you've been there where you've been the back of the parking lots, and you're just like, we're gonna have to trudge to the tram, we're gonna have to wait for that thing, it finally shows up, and then we have to stop 5 times, and then we have to get to the front, and then everybody piles out. You've got random people getting just picked up and brought. I thought it might be a nice way to make people feel happy. So
You're good at the little magical moments. I like that.
I'm
Mine are
trying.
more practical.
Right. We all think our own ways, right?
Yeah. I have a little one I would slip in, but then my bigger one. Okay. The little one is I would love to, I think as I've gotten older, well, let me just back it up. When we used to go to Disney parks with my mom, we would go on an attraction and she would wait outside with one of my youngest, and we would go on Space Mountain or something like that. And I would say, "Oh, thank you so much." And she would say, "Are you kidding? I love people watching here. I love just to watch people." And I think I've always remembered that. I've sort of turned into that woman now. And I would love to have more places to sit in the parks. Sometimes it's very hard just to find a place just to sit and get off your feet and people watch in the shade. So that's a little one. But my bigger one is I would love to bring back more parades at all the different parks, because the parades have gone, and they were, each park had their own little take on what the parade was, but I miss the parades in Epcot and Animal Kingdom, and the cavalcades are cute but not quite the same thing. I'm not a huge parade person, but I think it's a nice way for people to stop in the middle of the day and get excited. So
yeah, parades are the thing.
Michael,
Mike,
would you like more
one.
places to sit? Would you like more places to sit?
Yes, I would.
He always does.
I think that my last one is going back to Michelle's original point about paying the cast members more, but even to add to that, I would like to empower them, and by that I would like to give certain cast members in certain roles the ability to grant one magical wish per day. They can do this to any cast member any guest they want, and this could be in the form of, we give you a golden lightning lane pass for you and your family, or I give you a special coupon that's good for a free Dole Whip, or I give you something that's good for some certain piece of merchandise, maybe mouse ears or whatever. But I do remember that in the year of the Golden Dream, I remember Million Dreams. I was actually at Soho for that announcement, and I remember talking to cast members there, and they were so excited because they could make a guest's experience that much special. And during the course of the year of Million Dreams, Million Dreams.
Million Golden Dreams.
Lots of my cast member friends were just so excited. I'm going to be able to give a dream today. I really think that would be something special. Why not do it during the 50th anniversary? And this could be someone like a little girl goes up to Belle for a meet and greet, and Belle turns around and gives her a coupon good for a Dole Whip, or you're in to get to yours, Chris, you're in Norway, where you can have a meal with the princesses, and Snow White comes over and says, "Just want you to know, I am paying for your dinner." I really think that empowering the cast members, I know that if I was a cast member and I had the ability every day when I go to work to make someone's day special, memorable, to make them want to come back, that would be special. I think this would be probably the number one thing. If I had to choose any of these magical things, this is the one I would choose.
Yeah, that was on my list. I was going to save it for the parks themselves, but I think it's definitely the thing is the year of a million golden shower dreams.
Edit.
No, I want to keep that in. I just wanted it. That's why I said they.
Oh my god.
Sorry. I definitely think it was a lot. They would give out lanyards or stickers. Like they all had stickers. They would just like dopey things. They give out buttons. They give out pins. We went to Casey's and we ordered a hot dog and they just threw in some Cracker Jack just because. Or, you going by in Star Wars and they give you a free pass for, another ride, whatever it may be. I think definitely empowering the cast members to give out additional things. Of course, they have to limit it and they have to make sure that it's not being abused because as a corporation, they might lose their shirt,
Right.
And make sure the cast members are doing it right because you don't want like them giving out to their friends when their friends show up to the park or, it's like, oh, there's Bob. I'm going to give Bob the magic thing. So, but these are all great ideas. Next week, we're going to do the theme parks. Do you want to do it by park itself or just what specifically in the park you want to see happen?
We start with 2 parks, or we'll start with 1 park and see how far we get, and then go to another park.
Okay.
Does that sound good?
Because I have a few
it.
that work generally for parks, but I can tailor it specifically. But
Good. All right, we're on our way to fixing things.
Yeah. And if you want to join us and help us, if you're sitting on the side here trying to come up with your own magical ideas at home, please reach out to us on Twitter at Mickey Miles Pod and let us know what you would do. But for now, that's going to wrap up this episode of Mickey Miles and More with Dr. Michelle Scribner-McLean, the Dean of Disney Mike Scopa. I'm Chris Eliopoulos, and we'll see you on the road and in the parks.
We hope you enjoyed listening to today's episode of the Mickey Miles and More podcast. For all of us here at the Mickey Miles and More podcast, this is Rick Gray saying thanks for listening and all your support. And until next time, we'll see you on the road.